Not Quite Cool is a podcast that contains spoilers, opinions, and general nonsense. Listener discretion is advised.
Point is, Rob's old, and welcome back to another episode of Not Quite Cool. My name is Keith Brooks, and I'm here with some other people who aren't quite cool. Chiefly among those, we'll get to that one later. The one that I like is Chad Dowdy. Chad, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I like you too, Keith.
Thanks, man. Thanks, buddy. And then Rob.
I hate everybody.
Good, great, Rob. You look like you hate everybody. I'm glad that you have resigned to wear this brown jacket. Because it's like, you know how there's always like an old man in the neighborhood who has one jacket he wears. You've got yours now. This is your outfit.
As soon as I saw it online, I was like, this is it. I can be in a cult. I can be warm. I can go out in the snow. I can be anything. It's
you look like Kenny from South Park hit rough times.
I should be
so like lucky. Kenny lives in rough times.
He's so lucky.
Yeah. But yeah, we haven't been here for a while, guys. But we got a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about, so we're just going to go ahead and dive straight into it. First things first, we're going to talk about a television series on Disney Plus. It's the newest installment in the Star Wars world, and that is the Book of the Book of Boba Fett. We watched the entire series. The finale happened maybe last week. The story of Tamora Morrison's character Boba Fett and Finnick Chand. Chad, what did you think about the story and the Book of Boba Fett? Was it worth the read?
So, I was saying that the first part of the season, it was a little boring, with Boba Fett. It was fine. It wasn't as good as The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So they must have been listening to the podcast and clearly reshot the end of the season and changed it to Mandalorian season 2.5, because that's when it got good, when The Mandalorian showed up, and it was just the whole episode of The Mandalorian. Then the next episode, we had all cameos, and I know we were texting about Cad Bane. That was awesome. Same voice actor. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And then the finale was good too. But to me, all that was good. Because it was The Mandalorian show at that point. Boba Fett was there. He was fine, but it was more Mandalorian than Boba Fett. But I dug it a lot more the second half.
And what about you, Rob? What did you think about it?
It's funny, back when Disney acquired Marvel, I was more aware of that acquisition than when they acquired Lucasfilm. But I remember when they acquired Marvel, there was a bit of an uproar or fear from the fans that, oh God, Disney's gonna Disneyfy Marvel, and it's again. At that point, there's only a few movies had really been out. I know the Hulk had been out, and Iron Man 1, I think 2, which were being distributed by Paramount. But there was a fear that it was going to be, Disneyfied, and if it has been, I don't think it's had a negative effect at all, to me anyway. But I wonder if we witnessed with this, and again, look, you guys are much bigger Star Wars fans than I am. I like Star Wars, but I'm not a fanatic. I've liked about half the stuff that's come out, and again, though I'm aware of Boba Fett, I wasn't, I didn't have the Boba Fett toys. I wasn't, I couldn't have told you that he had such limited dialogue until recently, in those movies. But, even juxtaposed against his cameo in Mandalorian season 2, where he was dangerous and violent, and his fighting was even shot differently, which is bizarre to me because the same fucking director and Rodriguez, he was so tame in this, and so, don't get me wrong. I mean, they really made him the protagonist, and there were some interesting things about it. But it was just an odd show, man. It was an odd show. I didn't dislike it by any stretch. It was fine. I thought it was interesting storytelling. It was a little slow at times, and there were some things in it that didn't feel necessarily Star Warsy to me. But structurally, it was odd. Again, how they jumped to, you're just kind of getting to the point where Boba Fett might have his current story. And it's like they said, oh, we don't know what to tell you about him now. So let's go back to him. Let's preempt this current programming for more of Mandalorian, everybody. And So it was interesting. And again, I just wonder if Disney said, well, we can't have a guy this violent in this Star Wars where we're trying to really appeal. I think they're trying to please too many people, is what I'm getting at. We're going to talk about this for a few minutes. Keith, what did you think?
I liked it, but I agree that it has a strange vibe to it. I feel that structurally I was totally fine with it. I like the first couple of episodes you had The Godfather 2, but when that ended and you were caught up, that's when you went away from him. So it seemed like that each half of the show had its own structure to it, and it was a lot of ideas happening at once. But I also like the idea that it's sort of saying, hey, this expanded universe of stuff, we're not going to have to be as adherent to the flow of things as other shows are. We can jump around from character to character. And in that regard, it felt more like the Star Wars Christmas special, or it felt more like the animated stuff to me, because the Clone Wars, the animated series, is always about, yeah, it's Anakin and Ahsoka, but it's not just their stories. You have episodes where you follow Yoda for a couple episodes. You'll have episodes where you follow, whoever, Obi-Wan, whatever. But I feel like the thing is, in live action, it felt like there were tonal shifts when that occurred in this, as opposed into the animated series. Even if the tonal shifts happened, the animation style itself became the stylization, so everything felt more coherent than it did in this one. I felt like, to me, this reminded me in ways of Hawkeye, where in the middle couple of episodes of Hawkeye felt completely different to me because it felt more cinematic than the rest of it did. And in this, when we got to Bryce Dallas Howard's episode, it felt different because it feels so much bigger, so much more artsy than what we had before. I agree that Tamora Morrison's Boba Fett, it's awesome to see him as that character. We had never seen him as that character before, so it's cool to see that, and it fully makes sense to have him that. But it felt like at times his character didn't have enough agency to be the protagonist. That Fennec Shan was the character doing all the badass stuff. And there should have been that a couple of moments, at least to me, from a writer's perspective, of seeing this is why we're going to follow Boba Fett. This is why everyone should respect him. And maybe the whole purpose of the show is to get to that point where he earns that respect by killing Cad Bane if Cad Bane is dead. But I had no problem with like the mods or anything. I fucking love him riding a Rancor. Cad Bane is my favorite Star Wars character of all time, so it was great including him. I was shocked at how long we spent with Luke Skywalker.
Technology is really crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
I was shocked also with the fact that they didn't flinch from making Luke kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
By making him have a choice. Do you want this or this? When we know the audience wants Grogu to have everything, but they're saying, no, that's not the way the world works, you know?
I wonder, not to cut you off, I wonder if they leaned into making him an asshole to make him a little less likable, so there's a little less demand of having to bring Luke Skywalker back as much as possible. I mean, is that a possibility? I mean, he's so ingrained in it. I don't know if that makes a difference, but by kind of making him a dick against one of the most endeared current characters in cinema at the moment, in television, Baby Yoda.
I think they were just trying to juxtapose it between when Yoda taught Luke, because Yoda was kind of a dick to Luke. At the beginning, he didn't say who he was. He was just acting like he was this, little hermit character or whatever. And, he was telling Luke to do stuff, and Luke had always been kind of a hothead. Even back then when Yoda said, don't take your weapons into the cave, Luke still didn't listen. So I just feel like it's almost, they're just trying to show a lot of the same thing where he's learned stuff from Yoda, but he still has some Anakin Skywalker in him too.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's why I really liked the Ahsoka Luke Skywalker scene together.
Me too.
Was awesome. And they even were talking about Anakin. I mean, that was great from, the cartoon standpoint to now. It was amazing. So I totally agree with you, Keith, though, as far as it definitely gave me a little Clone Wars vibe, how it jumped to Mandalorian for an episode. And then now we're seeing several different storylines doing different things, converging how the Clone Wars would do it. To the point where I wouldn't mind if they just had a Star Wars show, and it was just 4 episodes following this character, 4 episodes following this, kind of like the Clone Wars did, and that way you don't have people complaining saying this is not a Boba Fett show. Well, it's a Star Wars show. It's the Star Wars universe. That's what we're watching.
And to that point, I thought it was really I mean, because there are going to be people who just want to watch The Mandalorian and don't want to watch the Boba Fett show. I was really surprised that they resolved and reunited The Mandalorian and Grogu's on Boba Fett show and sort of ended that show about them, where Boba Fett characters sort of became second-tier citizens. I mean, I think it's kind of odd. Once they did that, I was like, wow, that's kind of a bummer for people who just want to watch The Mandalorian. And when they next season, they're like, well, when did these guys get back together? But it also proved to me that it is just one melting pot universe. You know, they just, but I don't even recall. Has Marvel really done that where I guess they resolved things in other shows too. I guess maybe they've just earned it a little more than Star Wars has.
I think they just set up stuff more. Yeah. Like something they set up in the TV show will be followed up on in the movie and vice versa. But I don't know if they resolve stuff like you're saying in the TV show. I was
pretty surprised by that they just wrapped it up on Boba Fett as opposed to The Mandalorian. But
I think even there though, there's a distinction because I think it's, you know, Marvel, even with the TV shows, this is only the second year that they've had the TV shows, right? And they haven't had one yet for this year. And with Star Wars, this is only their second show, but they have the legacy of over 40 years of movies. But also having the cartoons and the TV shows have mostly been about explaining stuff that we didn't get the chance to get, which in the films, Filoni seems like his entire raison d'etre is to bridge the gaps and make things not feel as out of nowhere as they do. And in that regard, I think he nails Luke, because Luke, I agree with Chad, always was kind of a dick. There's this revisionist thing of thinking that the Luke we got in Last Jedi would never have been the Luke, but Luke was always sort of hot-headed and in his feelings all throughout the fucking original trilogy. And I feel we're getting that again. Plus, we look at it and all the fucking Jedi from New Hope on, other than Ben, none of them are actually Jedi. They've all tried to be Jedi, but have never been able to accomplish it. I got to answer this super, super quick. Give me 1 second.
This is a really nerdy conversation.
It
is. nerdy. Of all the conversations we've had in this podcast that I paid attention
to. Yeah, exactly.
And the one that, it may have been nerdier ones and I tuned out, but it's possible. The one I paid attention to, that's the most nerdiest. Him going off, I literally turned into white noise. It was like, caca, caca. I was like, and I'm listening, and I'm just literally just hearing like the murder of crows. Caca, caca. I was like, who's a Jedi? Who? What? My mind tailed off when he pulled a raison d'etre, and I just wanted to make a raison brand joke. You know?
Oh, jeez,
it's terrible.
I was thinking, like, did he pronounce that right?
No, I didn't roll the R as much as I should, but I figured like if I said it correctly and I was like raison d'etre, then Rob would be like Gesundheit. Oi, welcome to the Catskills. Tip your waitresses. And I didn't want that.
Green, big hand for Shecky Green, everyone.
Yeah. So I like the Book of Boba Fett. I wonder if what we're going to do is set up a bunch of. I was shocked we didn't get Emilia Clarke or whatever her name is.
Me too. I really thought she'd be the bad at the end.
Me too. But I wonder how much of this is going to be. The rumor is now that there's going to be a Star Wars movie that spins out of the TV shows. I don't know that that's necessarily true because all the fucking rumors in the world. But I don't know. A trailer that we're going to be talking about proved me wrong about my faith in rumors. So we'll see. Do you guys got anything else to say about Boba Fett or?
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to the next Star Wars show. Is what it's Kenobi, right?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. And that comes out in May. And that's, again, you've got great actors and a great legacy. And I just hope that thing has been in the works for so long, and they've started and restarted and worked those scripts. They've worked those scripts obviously a lot longer than they worked the Boba Fett scripts. I mean, so I'm hoping it's just a little bit of a tighter story. And I've heard some rumors. Sadly, I've heard some rumors of really cool shit, so we'll see.
Yeah. Sadly, you've heard rumors of cool shit? Is that what you said?
I don't want to. I keep jumping on YouTube and spoiling all the goddamn shit.
Yeah, it's self-inflicted.
Yeah, it's
100%.
But also,
spoiling shit.
I don't think a lot of the rumors you're listening to are the best rumors. Like, you know what I mean?
Hey, they're having
Spectral Vision.
Yep.
Spectral Kenobi is coming.
I heard that Shuma Gorath is actually going to appear. We have here at the channel. We have it on high authority that a squid monster is going to emerge from Obi-Wan's urethra. Anyway, so let's go on to the next one that we're talking about. I'm gonna pipe these in with movies that only I've seen or stuff like that in between. Let me go ahead and talk about the newest Coen, one of the Coen brothers movies. Joe Coen just directed The Tragedy of Macbeth, starring Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand. And it's on Apple TV. It's an A24 release, so I know Chad's super excited about it. Black and white. Jesus Christ, what a beautiful fucking movie. This movie looks like The Seventh Seal. It's like very Bergman feelings, the entire thing. They do some very interesting stuff. The witch, the Weird Sisters, is only played by one actress who also doubles as an old man in the piece. And it's awesome. It's great. It's if you love Shakespearean text, it's some really great stuff. Denzel got nominated for an Oscar, rightfully so. There was one scene in a fight sequence where he bitch slaps somebody in a way that I don't feel is Shakespearean and is more just Denzel Washington hitting a motherfucker, and it's awesome. It's such a good, captivating watch. So I suggest anybody watch it. I think I'm the only one of us that's watched it, but that's totally fine because I know what you nerds are here for. Let's get back to nerdy stuff. Let's talk about Peacemaker. Directed, executive produced by James Gunn. He directed 3 or 4 of the episodes, wrote all of them on HBO Max, starring John Cena. Chad, what did you think about? We just got the big finale. They had some 2 impressive cameos. What did you think about the Peacemaker finale and the Peacemaker series as a whole?
I love this show. I had so much fun watching this show. I mean, it wasn't just immature fart jokes. I mean, there was a lot of heart in this movie. And I felt like, other than maybe like Vigilante, who's a sociopath, all of the characters had an arc.
Yeah.
And you cared about every single one of them. The chemistry of all of them as a group was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved just Vigilante and Peacemaker were great together. But this as a whole, this is incredible casting. I felt like it was perfect casting. I can't praise this show enough. I'm shocked. Not shocked. I don't want to say that. That it's funny that it's still part of the DCEU.
Yeah.
The dark, and this is dark. There's some dark stuff in it. Don't get me wrong, but it's fun. It brings the fun back to the dark DCEU, which is the way to do it. I feel like, and like you said, those cameos, with Momoa and Ezra Miller. Yeah, I can't praise this show enough. I'd heard already they've announced season 2.
Yeah.
So I'm very pumped about that. I'll be there as soon as it comes out. Yeah, I dug this show a lot.
That's great. And Rob was going to watch Peacemaker. We told him to, but I think he got a pacemaker instead. Is that right, Rob?
I got a pacemaker, and then it stopped. The show.
It's real funny. It's real funny, Rob.
This show, to piggyback on what Chad said, the fact that it is in the DCEU, whatever it's called, the DCEU. What the fuck is it? The DCEU. I'd say it's my second favorite thing in this universe. The first Wonder Woman, which I loved, I thought was great. This is the most fun and at a level of quality that I had in this universe so far. And again, hats off to James Gunn. He's such a great storyteller. Yes, he has a certain style, but I think no matter what story that he's hired to tell, whether he's a gun for hire, no pun intended, or just he's telling the stories he wants to tell, he's a great storyteller. Nothing is wasted. Every hint he drops, everything that you think falls flat, comes full circle to mean something later on. He pays off everything. The dialogue feels real. He casts well. Everybody just seems like they're having a ball. He gets the best out of his actors. I mean, good. He made John Cena's not a bad actor by any stretch. I don't think anybody saw this. Just the emotional moments. It's just those two working together. I certainly think John Cena, found his director, that really knows how to push his buttons, which is phenomenal. It was an absolute ball, and it kept you on your toes when you thought it was going to zig. It would zag. And look, it's the only show ever that I hopped online just to watch the opening credit sequence for a moment, just because it's so goddamn fun.
Yeah,
it's a blast. It's an absolute blast. The DCU, Warner, as Warner was spun off to Discovery recently, I think somebody over there should just literally back the truck up full of money, the gun, and say, take over the universe, be the Feige of this universe. But I digress. I loved it. It was a blast.
I think I disagree with that, because what I think the show showcases for me, and I'm not the biggest fan. I know Chad is all about Zack Snyder's work, but to me, I feel like one of the things that this show does is makes everything feel more like the comic books, where in the same continuity, one thing can be super dark and intense, and over here we can have this lighthearted part that still takes place in the same world, and that felt great. The other thing that I love about this is James Gunn comes from trauma where he didn't have a lot, and I feel that because of that, all of his movies are tight. His films are economic because they're using everything. Every moment has to count. And this feels like the first time in any of his work that things feel more loose. They feel like they get to breathe a little bit more. And because of that, it just feels unique even for his collection of work, right? And I love that. I loved Eagly. It was one of my favorite characters in the fucking world. Vigilante was fucking amazing. I loved everything about it. Those cameos were fantastic. Apparently Marvel shot those cameos, which is awesome. This has gotten greenlit for season 2. Another spinoff from Suicide Squad has got greenlit. We don't know what it is yet. So I'm here for, give me these diverse feeling things within the same world. Let Marvel be the thing that feels more homogenized, while DC is like all this takes place in the same world, but it all feels unique. That's cool. That's great to me.
No, I was going to say.
Go
ahead, Rob.
I was going to say real quick.
Will they? Won't they?
Cut this out. Cut this out. Cut it out. Cut it out. I will talk. So I was going to say real fast. My favorite bit in the entire show was when they were outside the jail, and Adebayo sees Vigilante outside of costume, and he's like, "Hey, Vigilante," or whatever. He's like, "Who are you talking about?" He like totally changes his voice. He's like, and she's like, "You changed your voice." No, I'm not. It's so funny. I was dying when he changed his voice. Oh my gosh, it was.
He
hilarious.
Doesn't want his face to be recognized, so he's
I was going to say that was simple. Just like, oh, you can't hide your face. And you keep
that guy. The role was incredible. And I'm sure you've heard that. It was somebody else.
Yeah, that's what I was going to jump in with. He got me at the last minute. He replaced the guy supposedly.
Well, they had already shot some with the other guy.
They had to reshoot. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Holy shit.
So he's a replacement, I think, midway through the season.
Wow.
And the guy who originally was Stuart Townsend.
No, it was not.
He got replaced by Viggo Mortensen in Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, I knew that one. Or it's what's the guy from Back to the Future? Eric.
Eric Stoltz.
Yeah, Eric Stoltz is that. That'd be fucking terrible if that was the inside joke. Eric Stoltz is the only actor that gets replaced. Just gets hired to get fired all the time. But yeah, I can't wait for more Peacemaker. I can't wait to see what Gunn does with Guardians 3. I'm here for it. It's just a blessing that we get to fucking a world with Peacemaker as a fucking TV show. That's insane. So the next thing I want to talk about is another film that I just saw. It's got nominated for a bunch of Oscars, and it's called The Lost Daughter with Olivia Colman, directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal on Netflix. God damn, this movie is intense. I don't even know how to recommend it. It's about a woman who is a. Can you hear me better now? My thing was acting up some, but maybe it's better now. It's about a woman who is a mother who is not very good at it. It sort of explores that world of parenthood where you're selfish and resent your child for taking away part of your life. But that's only a portion of it. It's a very hard to watch film where at the end of it, I don't know how I feel. But if you want to see some compelling performances, her Skarsgård, Peter Skarsgård's in it. Dakota Johnson's in it. Ed Harris plays a very strange character for him.
Wow.
Gyllenhaal made it a very intimate, organic looking film that's just really nice and pretty to look at. I understand why it's nominated for all these awards. Unlike our next film, which I don't think will be nominated for as many awards, but Chad and I watched it, Jackass Forever. Let's talk about this shit. Chad, how did you feel about Jackass Forever?
You know, I saw someone's review on Letterboxd that said something like, if a movie's supposed to elicit an emotional response, then this movie succeeded. And that's certainly true.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's gross, and sometimes it's both at the same time.
Yeah.
And you know what you're getting. It's not necessarily that they're treading new ground, you know, in this. There's new characters and things like that. It's the Jackass movie. It's funny. If you like that kind of stuff, I think you'll like it. So I enjoyed it for what it was. You know, it was funny.
Me too.
Gross.
And I think the other thing you forgot is painful. Like some of the shit they do in this movie.
Oh my gosh.
So hard. And it's weird. I heard that Aaron had a kid after the fucking pogo stick thing. There's just to inform Rob, because me saying pogo stick made him have a pain thing. One of the very first things on the original television show was a cup test where they would try to see how strong cups were and how much the pain they can endure. So they get a professional boxer to punch this guy in the dick while he's wearing a cup. They get a softball, fast pitch softball to hit. Then they get a hockey player, and then they bounce on his dick in a cup with a pogo stick. But the problem is pogo stick slides, so it goes through his testicles. And he's still able to have a kid. So the face you're making is what the entire theater was making when I was watching it. And for the audience at home, just imagine Rob's face normally. That's the face he's making. Grotesque.
Go to his IMDb page and look at the first picture that pops up.
Hey.
To me, the weird thing about it is, like, Jackass is painful, it's sophomoric, it's ridiculous, it's gross, but it reminded me of like friendship. Like at the time, like these guys love each other, and like that's the great thing about it is like, yeah, it's a bunch guys are just dumbasses who are here to have fun and laugh at each other's pain in this Schadenfreude. I'm sorry, I have to pronounce the words correctly. Schadenfreude way that's just very. It's camaraderie, and you could feel that exude from the screen with this one. Also, is that the first female they've ever had doing stunts on the movies?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
and she was a fucking balls to the wall.
She took it like a champ.
She did. She got stung in the fucking face by a scorpion for a collagen injection. It was fucking intense, man. Licked the stun.
She also I was gonna say licked the stun gun.
Yeah.
It's just crazy some of the stuff, but I know some of it is just pain, like you said, but some of the bits were very funny when they locked the guys in the room and turned out the lights and knocked over the fake snake. That was some of the funniest stuff when they thought they were in that room with that snake, and Knoxville's going in the room with night vision goggles, Rob, and he's got a little stun gun and he's shocking people. And one guy thinks he gets bit. He thinks he gets bit and he just runs out of the room.
The problem is they got another room there that's got frying pans hanging from like fucking Home Alone.
So the guy's running full speed.
It's just straight into a frying pan.
I tell you though, the thing that scared me the most probably was when they tied Wee Man down, and it was the vulture or whatever that was. It looked like a freaking dinosaur.
They put him in like a diaper and then stuffed meat in his diaper and then unleashed a vulture. And they have one
as he's tied down on the ground.
They have one dude who's the normal guy, who's just somebody's dad there, and they're trying to get the vulture to rest on him, and he's like, "I'll fucking kill y'all! I'll kill y'all!" and like passes out. Like, to me, it's the bee thing was one of the scariest things I've ever seen, and the bear.
That was horrible. The bear was terrifying as well.
Yeah, for the bee thing is Steve-O gets a cock ring with a queen bee in it, and they put it on his penis and then get all the other bees on his penis. And it starts adding like inches of
You can't see his penis.
You can't see his penis.
It's a beehive.
So many bees. Yeah. And then but the bear one is just proving Johnny Knoxville is Jigsaw in training, because they get him They tie this Aaron guy down to a chair, and they're telling him, here's what we're doing. We're doing a lie detector test. And every time you lie, we're going to shock you. They put a shock collar on him. And they do this for a couple times. And then they get out of the room, pour honey on him, and fresh raw salmon in his crotch, and leave. But leave the shock collar and leave him tied up and release a grizzly bear into the thing. And so as the bear's getting close, they keep shocking him.
Yeah, they're like, stay real still, you'll be okay. And then they shock him.
And so the bear's like trying to get at its crotch and get the fish. It's fucked up. But it's
wow.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
I think Aaron was the star of the show. Aaron took the most damage. He was the funniest. He was the best.
Yeah, and here's the deal. I've always hated Aaron. I always thought Aaron was the pussy of the group. But this fucking movie, dude, mad props to him. He rocked it
100%.
out. Yeah, I like it. That's Jackass Forever. Let's go on and talk to about our next thing, which is another television series. I watched the whole thing. I know Rob watched at least one episode, and I think Chad watched 4 episodes. Maybe. Okay, cool. Yeah. It's a remake of a British television series originally called Murder in Successville, but now the American version is called Welcome. It's called Murderville. It was originally going to be called Welcome to Murderville. It's just Murderville, starring Will Arnett. The premise of the show is it operates like a crime detective series where there's a new murder every week, and Will Arnett's our lead cop, Terry Seattle, and they bring in a new guest officer to be with him, but the guest star does not have a script and they have to improvise, and it's a wild assortment of guests. We have Conan O'Brien, Kumail Nanjiani, Kin Jong, Sharon Stone, Annie from fucking Schitt's Creek, I think 6 Michelle Lynch, and I think that's it. I think it's all 6 of them. Chad, what did you think about Murderville?
Yeah, so the concept is kind of like that other movie that we talked about, the trailer for, the James McAvoy one.
Yeah,
My Son. Except this one doesn't make you want to slit your wrists after watching it. So this was like funny and enjoyable in that way. So I dug the first 4 episodes. I just haven't finished it. I'm going to finish it because I did have fun with it. I feel like these improv actors are doing a really good job playing off the actors that don't have a script.
Yeah.
So to me though, I feel like Marshawn Lynch, his was the best one. I feel like he really dove in when they go down to the bunker to see one of the guys, and the alarm goes off, and the actor runs up. Yeah, he runs up with a bat, and Marshawn Lynch just goes and grabs him and just puts him on the couch, like it takes the bat from him. Like that's what Marshawn is not messing around with this guy. It is crazy.
There's also a part of that where they have like a room. They have an interrogation room that's supposed to have a 2-way mirror, but they haven't put the mirror up yet. So they have to go from one room to another. And Will Arnett's like, I guess we just got to cross through. And Marshawn Lynch just fucking jumps over it. And you see everybody look at him and go, oh, fuck. Like, it's just real moment. It's amazing. Prago, I know you watched one episode. Oh, I'm sorry, Chad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just saying the other one with Marshawn when they gave him that shot to drink, and he looks at the cameraman behind the scenes, and he's like, "Is it okay if I drink this?" And he's like, "All right, I'll drink it."
Prago, I know you watched the Conan O'Brien one with me. Did you watch any more?
I have not yet. It is on my list, but I did enjoy it, though I was distracted by the wings I didn't eat.
Oh yeah, we go.
Yeah,
Rob comes over every time he comes over. He's like, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna order some food. Do you want anything? He's like, no, I'm not gonna eat anything. But if I was gonna eat something, I might eat a couple wings. But I'm not gonna. And then he eats all those.
So when you don't order the wings, don't order me garlic.
Lemon pepper,
honey barbecue. Don't order those.
Yeah.
So, I also thought Annie Murphy was very good.
Yeah, the Annie Murphy one was great.
She was very proud. Like when she guessed it. She was so proud of herself. Like it was so endearing.
Yeah. And didn't she guess it wrong?
She really
though?
wanted to solve it. No, she got it right.
Okay.
She wanted to get it right to the point where she was getting mad at, Will Arnett when he was distracting her. Yeah. When, the suspect was telling the clues.
Yeah.
Like she wanted to get it right so bad. It was awesome.
When she's doing the stirring thing. I was watching that with a buddy of mine, David Haddad. He was over here. And apparently he has a crush on Annie Murphy. This is news flash to his wife. I'm glad. Hope you're listening. Anyway, but so as the episode starts, he's like, oh, Annie Murphy's the guest on this one. I'm like, yeah, Annie Murphy looks a lot like my ex, which is, a running gag clearly on this podcast. And he's like, no, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. And as soon as the show starts, he's like, fuck, I can't unsee it now. And I'm like, yeah, I know. My favorite is the Kumail Nanjiani one. Like him, I don't know if you watched that one, but
I saw that one.
Will Arnett's telling him to go through these different walks and just him committing so hard to these dumbass walks he has to do. And you just see Arnett cracking the fuck up laughing at him because it's so ridiculous. It's a lot of fun. This show is just a lot like Jackass Forever camaraderie, right? They just laughing at each other, the schadenfreude, the joy of that. It's basically just making fun of Rob for being old for 6 episodes. And that's great.
Minutes.
And then let's move on to our next one, where this previous one had murder. Our next two things that we watched also contain some murder. The first one is about trying to solve the murder before anyone else is attacked with it. Kenneth Branagh directed this new film, the next adventure in the Hercule Poirot series, Death on the Nile, starring Kenneth Branagh, Gal Gadot, Armie Hammer. Who the fuck else is in this? Russell Brand. Thousands of people. Loved it. Chad, what did you think about it?
Yeah, I liked it. It's a sequel to Murder on the Orient Express. Very similar, as far as that goes. But, so this is going to come off sounding bad, but I felt like that Gal Gadot the acting was not great for her in this, to the point that I was like, oh, she's the killer because she's acting badly.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, shit.
But otherwise, the way that it turned out to me is about the only way it could have turned out. This one, unlike the Murder on the Orient Express, I felt like it was a lot harder to call as far as, what the actual, murder was and things like this. This one was like, oh yeah, well, of course it had to be this way.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. But I do think that I've never seen her in anything before, but Emma Mackey, who played Jacqueline,
great.
She was like a queen. She was incredible in this movie.
I thought she was Margot Robbie for the longest time of the movie.
I did too for a little bit, at first. But I just felt like that it might be that she was so good that Gal Gadot looked worse in comparison to her. But I just felt like she was so good. Like, sometimes you watch somebody, you're like, oh, that person's going to be a star. Yeah. That's the way I felt about watching her in this movie.
Yeah. And I think it's also it's totally, you can totally see where this murder is going for this, story that was written in the 1930s. But still, I feel to me, I didn't run into that same wall of Gal. I liked her. I felt that this one, though, to me, it wasn't as well executed as Murder on the Orient Express, just because some of the exposition was very on the fucking nose. You have that whole section with Book, that character, telling you, oh, this person's this person. This would be a motive if they were to kill somebody. And I'm like, fuck, what are we doing right now? That's that felt a little bit too specific and too sort of telegraphed. But I still enjoyed it. I thought I liked a lot of the performances. I liked that Book character. I liked that we didn't shy away from what happened with him. That was a cool little twist and turn in that. Branagh, I thought, was fucking great. He really finds those weird eccentricities to make that character really pop. His little love affair with the blues musician is great. It's great seeing Shuri. I think this is the first thing I've ever seen her in that's not Black Panther, so I really enjoyed that.
Black Mirror, she's in that. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, so this is the second. But Letitia Wright does great in this. I really enjoyed her. And I'm also Armie Hammer. This is the elephant in the room. They didn't pull a Kevin Spacey all the money in the world thing. He's right fucking there throughout the entire movie. He's good in the movie. Terrible person. Good in the movie. Cannibal. Good in the movie. But they didn't shy away from it at all. Even in the credits, Armie Hammer's name shows up really big in it, So interesting choice. I don't think it's going to hinder them, but I also don't think this is going to be the movie that it's not Spider-Man No Way Home. We're not getting 3 generations of Hercule Poirot in it to bring people out. But I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And Rob didn't watch it because he's an uncultured swine.
I still have to return all the movies I've already borrowed from you so I can get the first one.
Yeah.
Murder on the Orient Express from you to watch that. Then I will watch definitely.
Well, I mean, you don't have to watch Murder on the Orient.
I have to do it.
Okay, that's fine.
You can make the argument that this came after. I mean, came before Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
Don't make that argument. Make it easy.
But speaking of murder, our last film that we're going to talk about before we get into trailers is another murder movie. And it takes place down in Texas, where everything's bigger, especially the chainsaws. Premiering on Netflix, Rob, is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the 2022 remake, brought to us by the same people who did Don't Breathe and those movies. And it stars Leatherface. Chad, what do you think about Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
So, before we get into that, I want to talk about the text. So, Rob, he does not always like to talk about the newest stuff. We've talked about this on the podcast. We're always talking about current things. And Rob is one to talk about something that came out years ago. So that when you texted, you saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Rob replied on Netflix, because I guess he assumed that you watched the original one. Yeah. And he wanted to make sure which one we were actually going to be talking about on the podcast. So clearly it's the one that just came out on Netflix.
It's possible.
On Netflix? Yeah, it's on Netflix. That's the one we're talking about here. Even though you didn't watch it, it is the one on Netflix.
I just watched The Kingsman. Should we talk about that?
Oh, yeah. Did you watch The Kingsman?
I did. It was excellent. I loved it.
Well, we'll talk about that after we finish talking about the movie we're talking about now, but then we'll do yours. Definitely. I didn't know you watched that. That's great.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We always say what we watch, but Rob doesn't. On top of that.
So he just never to guess.
Now, when you say The Kingsman, do you mean Kingsman, the original one that came out like 8 years ago?
Or the new one?
Kingsman
on
HBO Max?
I meant The King and I.
Okay.
Yeah, with Yul Brynner, my friend.
Our Yul Brynner Appreciation Podcast up next.
Yeah, so back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I thought that the gore was awesome in this movie. It was excellent. The kills were excellent. The first kill where the dude just breaks the guy's arm and then stabs him with his movie. Yeah, it was an awesome kill. But I also loved when he took the sledgehammer and hit that dude's leg with it. That looked awesome too. But there was a lot of good kills in this movie. The movie, not that great. The gore was awesome. I felt like that really they just had a script. I don't even know if it's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre script. They turned it into Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. Then I felt like they had a script that they turned into Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And then they thought, well, Laurie Strode came back in Halloween. Can we get Sally Hardesty in this? And they wrote it again because she's really doesn't have a lot to do with the movie. They got a couple scenes with her. She doesn't interact with anybody, and then she shows up. So I feel like she was written into it after the fact as well. I'd say I would recommend it in the sense that if you like the gore and it's Leatherface, but otherwise not so much. But I saw a lot of people online talk about the main sister being one of the least likable characters in horror movie history. And not the sister that was a part of the school shooting, the other
the older sister.
Okay. Yeah. The older sister, they didn't like her. But I felt like the worst character was the real estate agent, the lady. She had the umbrella. When she saw that Dante was killed, she went and got on the bus, didn't tell anybody. Then Leatherface shows up and she just goes to the back of the bus and doesn't tell anybody. Uh-huh. And then after everybody gets killed, she finally opens the window to try to get out. She's the worst character in horror movie history. Can't stand her.
I've seen Zombie Invasion, so I beg to differ. There's a couple. I feel like
I didn't know you were in Zombie Invasion, Keith.
Yeah, exactly. That's how bad I am. I got cut, man. Look at the shit they kept in. No, I like that character, the real estate agent lady, because I don't think she's a real estate agent. I think she's from the bank.
Well, they said agent, so I don't know what she was. I thought they called her an agent.
But her ass was great, so she gets a pass for me. Also, I do feel they missed an opportunity because they cut her. She's trying to crawl out the bus window, and then Leatherface chops her in half, and one half of her stays in and one half of her falls out. It would have been amazing if the camera then went onto the frame of the window so you could see both inside and outside to see one half. That's what you do with that shot, but they don't do any of the things they're supposed to. I feel the movie Blood, awesome. The murders, awesome. The look, awesome. the Queen Borg becomes Leatherface's mom.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. And you see the mask being made from her face. Cool. I like the little tribute thing. Cool. Fucking the writing, dumb as fuck. Like, so many terrible decisions. Oh, you drove a lady mad, so I'm going to take your keys until you can prove to me you're a better person. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Also, with the premise of it, by including Sally, by just including her, you make Leatherface 80-something years old. You know what I mean? Like, she's been waiting 50 years. Leatherface was already in his 20s. So, at best, he's 70. But thus making Queen Borg 90-something, thus making Leatherface this old fucking man running around doing all this, doesn't have a white hair in his head. I'm 36 years old. I know how bad my back hurts when I get out of bed in the morning. Much less this motherfucker getting his chainsaw out. So that alone took me out of the movie, the vast majority of it.
He was throwing his chainsaw too, Rob, around like it was I don't even know, baseball bat or something. Like he just throwing stuff.
Yeah.
His aim was impeccable. By throwing these huge weapons.
He literally, one of the girls is running away and he like fucking lobs it at her ankles, clips her down like from 10 feet away. And it's like, fucking great job, man. He gets chainsawed in the face and gets up from it. An awesome chainsaw uppercut. And he's fine. That's ridiculous.
I think the absurdity is just even starting a chainsaw when you want it to start. You ever try to start? I think we had this conversation before. It's impossible. They never start. You got to call.
It did take him a couple times. Every once in a while. Every once in a while they did. It didn't start right up all the way.
Okay, well
you actually didn't even see him filling the gas in the chainsaw at all. He got it from a wall, and
that's what I mean. He John Wicked it. You know, his mom was like the puppy, and time to go back to work.
And I feel like there's some good elements to it, but if you would have just said it a couple years earlier, as opposed to having Sally be 90 fucking years old, have it be 10 years after. And so we're in the 80s. That's great. You're going to have to lose that anger you have against influencers, but that didn't play well to me to begin with. It felt super cheesy. It felt like that section felt H2K or Halloween Resurrection more than anything else, you know, and just like not on the pulse. And then other parts of it I think are great though. I love the end. The last shot is a perfect counterpoint to the end of the first movie. But this is also an 80-year-old man who just got his head chopped in half, and now he's still doing the swing with the chainsaw. Because of some choices you made, it doesn't really line up. And then I also am having this like weird issue because more and more stories are coming out about that Fede Alvarez or whatever his name is, the guy who produced it, about him just being abusive on sets and stuff like that. So it's also hard for me to sort of root for it. I don't think anything's been said to the point where he's like the Jeepers Creepers guy or anything like that. Yeah. But still, it's like, I think there's some good elements to it. I'm interested. It feels, especially with the post-credit scene, like they're trying to line it up for another one. And I hope they just ignore some of the age stuff. I think this had a lot of potential, a lot of good moments, not the best. That's my feel. But speaking of not the best, Rob saw The Kingsman. Rob, how did you feel about seeing a movie?
Well, a little background here on The Kingsman. It was one of the ones that was acquired in the Disney deal from Fox and then got sort of hung up on its release date due to the pandemic and such. And I was a big fan. I don't know about you guys. I really liked the first one, which is the secret Kingsman Secret Service, and then the sequel, the Golden Circle, I believe I've written down here. It's the second one. I couldn't remember, one with Elton John. You know, a lot of people didn't like that one as much, but I just love the way Matthew Vaughn visually tells a story. It is energetic, it's kinetic, it's fun. I think a lot like James Gunn, he's got a great handle with character and multiple characters and dialogue. He's one of my favorite working directors. And this one, The Kingsman, is now on Hulu. It's and I think it's also on HBO Max. So there's some kind of crazy contractual deal. But, and again, going to this, I assumed it was going to have the same tone. And what was interesting, it's a prequel. It's sort of the origin story of how this came to be. And Ray Fiennes, who is just, it's Ray Fiennes. He's great. Yeah. Every time. He's great. And he plays somebody obviously in the British government. And you see in World War II how this all comes to be. But the tone is, though it's the same kinetic energy filmmaking and The dialogue is wonderful. It's so much more emotional and provoking and heartbreaking that it caught me completely off guard, but yet somehow still balanced with the Matthew Vaughn energy and storytelling and just his visual style. I loved it. I mean, again, and maybe I was just in the right frame of mind for it. It was some of the best. It's a long movie. It's about 2 hours and 20 minutes. I thought it was fantastic. And if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend it. It was great.
That's all. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm gonna watch that in West Side Story and Pam and Tommy, and that way next time we can talk about that. And I think Rob's gonna tackle Forrest Gump. But that was like, yeah, I can't wait to see that. And then we're gonna talk about a couple of trailers. We only got 5 trailers that we're gonna discuss to try to get us ready for some upcoming movies and releases. And the first one is for a film directed and written by Jordan Peele, starring Barbie Ferreira, Keke Palmer, Stephen Yeun, Rin Schmidt, and Daniel Kaluuya. It is a new horror film entitled Nope. The residents of a lonely gulch in inland California bear witness to an uncanny, chilling discovery. And from this trailer, I don't know what that discovery is. Chad, what about you? What do you think is they're going to find, and what do you think Nope is about?
Well, a Jordan Peele horror movie is an event now. That's all there is to it. So, to be honest, I'd have been completely fine if they had never even released the trailer for this movie. And it's Jordan Peele's Nope. Go watch it. You got the poster. See what happens. I don't feel like this trailer gave us a lot, except for like some cool shots. There were some really cool shots in this trailer. And again, like you're saying, they didn't really tell us much, probably by design, as far as that goes. I saw some people, online saying that Nope stands for Not of Planet Earth.
Oh.
So very possibly could be an alien movie. It seemed like maybe, they were looking to the sky, maybe aliens show up, which doesn't quite necessarily jive with what you just read as far as the discovery, but unless they discovered in the sky as far as that goes. But like I said, this trailer looks good. It didn't give me a lot, but that's okay. I don't want to see anything else now on this one, though. I kind of want to go in more blind now.
Yeah. Rob, what about you?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Jordan Peele has really positioned himself as one of those, director first, and then it's like, okay, cool. It's Tarantino. It's amazing how quickly he's positioned himself that. And again, you're elite when you do that. Your name is affiliated with a certain level of quality of storytelling. And again, you're not going to please everybody. Like Tarantino doesn't please everybody in these people, but that's what I love about him. He doesn't try to please everybody. He tells his story from his perspective, and there are enough people who are going to buy into his storytelling that he's going to be telling movies his whole life. And I hope he does, because I like his sci-fi thriller bent. There's a Shyamalan quality to his, but and hopefully he doesn't veer off the path a little bit the way Shyamalan has, even though I'm not quite the Shyamalan apologist I used to be, but yeah, I think they're leaning so hard into that it's aliens that it's probably not aliens. Even so much as to even as his name comes in from the sky, as it just lowers in, Jordan Peele. It's like, okay, they're forcing you to look up to see what's coming in and where is it really coming from. But the cinematography looks stunning.
Yeah,
I mean, stunning, and it's just some great lines. And is Keke Palmer, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Just from the trailer, I just want to watch her do a one-woman show. I mean, she looks like she's just magnetic. So yeah, I can't wait. I don't want to see anymore.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Like I feel what this gives me is a little bit more insight into the setting more than anything, the Western idea of it, and what he's going to do with that and how he's going to turn that on its head. But even, whatever he does, I think all of his movies have been so far about taking horror tropes and trying to turn them and see a different version of them, right? So with Get Out, it's about the abduction / almost Stepford Wives sort of situation, right? Us is very similar, but it's more changeling sort of notion. And this, let's see if there's another replacement concept that's happening there, because all these other movies seem to have a replacement element into their stories. So I'm here for it. I think Stephen Yeun, I'm a big fan of his and anything he does. So it's a yep for me We'll see what the movie's about. I like sort of going into it blind and knowing there's a little bit of danger there, but not as much the danger as there is in our next film. Going to be premiering on Disney Plus. It's not a reboot, but it's a comeback. A live-action film featuring animated versions of Disney's Chipmunks. That's right, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, directed by Akiva Schaffer, starring the voice talents of Andy Samberg and John Mulaney as Chip and Dale, also featuring Will Arnett, Seth Rogen, J.K. Simmons, Eric Bana, Keegan-Michael Key, Chris Parnell, and Paula Abdul. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Chad, what did you think about the trailer?
When it first started, I was like, man, I get some Roger Rabbit vibes from this. And then Roger Rabbit actually shows up, and I was like, oh, so they know what they're doing. I guess that's what they were going for. Again, this is super meta. It has promise. There's so many like different properties in this. So the question is it going to be more Roger Rabbit or Space Jam 2? That's really the question. Because if it's Roger Rabbit, awesome. If it's Space Jam 2, crap. Yeah. So,
Rob, what about you?
It looked like a lot of fun. I like the whole meta feel of him getting a sort of a CGI operation, and he had which I thought was great, and having them play together. Again, they have so much the toy box they get to play from, being owned by Disney. I mean, they're just gonna, just the music you hear, and then Indiana Jones coming in. I love the cast. I love that group of people, the Lonely Island group. Sandberg, I'm a big fan of. Mulaney, I have grown to just be a huge fan of over the years. Those guys crack me up. It looks like a lot of fun. I didn't realize it was, so that is premiering on Disney Plus. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Sorry, what? It's a click of a button. I'm in.
Yep, I'm super excited. I think it looks very clever. I think it looks smart. And I'm absolutely 100% on board with Chad that it's gonna go one of two ways. It's either gonna be great or it's gonna be Space Jam 2. And I'm hoping for the former because I like Chip and Dale. I watched them a lot as a kid, so I'm excited to see what happens. And I like that nostalgia, trip. Speaking of which, let's talk about another callback to an older time with this next film directed by Colin Trevorrow. The plot is under wraps, but it's been at least 65 million years in the making, and that's Jurassic World Dominion, starring the talent of Bryce Dallas Howard, who's an actress and director, Chris Pratt, Dyken Lockman, Sam Neill, Daniela Pineda, Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern, DeWanda Wise, Mamadou Athie, Christopher Polaha, Scott Hayes, B.D. Wong, Campbell Scott, Isabella Sermon, Justice Smith, Omar Sy, Varda Sethu, and Freya Parker. Jurassic World Dominion is said to be the closing chapter on this part of the Jurassic Park series. Chad, are you ready to let life find a way? How do you feel, sir?
Yeah, I'm ready. This looks good to me. It's the old guard and the new guard getting together, and that's kind of the trend of like stuff now with all these properties. And I don't care. That works on me. I get it. I know what they're doing, but it works on me. I'm totally fine. Bring in the old characters to interact with the new ones. That was an awesome shot with all of them there. I think maybe all 6 of them standing there. That was super cool. But the thing that got me fired up the most was when it showed the dinosaur with the feathers. I was like, that is awesome. And my daughter was like, why are you freaking out for? It's just this dinosaur with feathers. I was like, I just love that. I love seeing that dinosaur with feathers. The fact that they've put that in the movie, like I'm pumped for that. So yes, I'm here. So, but real fast, what are the odds that one of the old guard dies and it's Alan Grant?
Oh, 100%. He's the Han Solo, definitely.
Yep.
I hope if they're smart, it'll be a velociraptor that kills him, and it'll gut him from here to here and do exactly what he said to the kid in the first one.
Oh yeah. That'd be cool.
That's pretty great.
Rob, what did you think?
Yeah, this is like a drug. They're so good. The special effects are so good. Just taking you back to that time and showing you these wonderful things and just littering it with your favorite actors. And then, like Chad said, taking the old guard and mixing it with the new guard. It's just, I can't get enough of that. The crossovers are just fantastic, and they're littered with great actors. So yeah, I haven't been the first one was fantastic, like the first book was fantastic, and then I think it's been a little weak on story since then, but but the effects, you can't argue with the effects, and it's just such a spectacle that, yeah, you got my money already. You know, I hope it's done well.
Yeah, I look, I'm stoked about this all day. I feel that the Jurassic Park model has always been first movie's great, second movie, man, is okay, and the third movie, man, we don't really talk about that one. And I feel that same thing has continued with the second trilogy. I love Jurassic World. I think Jurassic World is phenomenal. I think the second one is okay. And I hope this third one, I hope it breaks that curse. And it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And I just want to see dinosaurs. That's all I want. You don't even have to put the fucking people in. Just give me the dinosaurs. But I'm excited just to see the spectacle and the wonder of that. Speaking of spectacle and wonder, our next film is from one of my favorite directors of all time. Actually, our last two films are both from some of my favorite directors. But this one director is known for his fabulous spectacle, and that's Baz Luhrmann. And this is a look at the life of the legendary rock and roll star Elvis. So this film, starring Austin Butler as Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, and Tom Hanks as Colonel Tom Parker, looks to be a biopic that's encapsulated with spectacle. Chad, what do you think about an Elvis movie created by the helmer of Moulin Rouge?
I'm a big fan of Moulin Rouge, but and I like Baz Luhrmann as well. He's very stylized, as far as the director goes, and it could turn some people off in that regard for a mainstream Elvis movie. So I'm wondering how this is going to be taken, because everybody knows Elvis. A lot of people, especially older generation, will, like, Rob, if you had kids, they would love Elvis, as far as that goes. But I just feel like, I just don't know if the older generation really likes Baz Luhrmann as far as that goes. So it'll be interesting. I'm interested for sure, because I like both of those things. I like Elvis. I like Baz Luhrmann. I like his style. So yeah, bring it on.
Rob, what did you think? And what will your children and grandchildren think about this one?
The kids are going to love it. They're thrilled. We were talking about it around Hanukkah when I was spinning the dreidel. I gotta tell you, I'm a little taken out of it by Hanks's accent. Big time. I mean, I literally went, what the fuck is he doing? It's again, I didn't go back and listen to recordings of Colonel Tom Parker, but
close, but it's still cartoonish as fuck.
Jesus, I literally was like, I can't listen to him talk. It was annoying me. It was literally bugging the shit out of me. And on top of knowing, look, it's legend that he was, he really had his hooks in Elvis, and at the end of the day, maybe was a detriment to his career, and cost him a lot. That accent makes him not even like less likable, just unbearable. Yeah. Will I see this? Yeah, but fuck me. As soon as he started talking, I was like, holy shit, I got a problem immediately.
And that's the first thing in the trailer too, is him.
Yeah.
Some people will call me a villain, and it's like, what the fuck are you?
What is that?
Are you a bad guy in Nothing But Trouble, or the Rescuers? Like,
yeah, I don't know. What did you? I get it. It looks beautiful, but I don't know if I can go. I don't know if I can do 2 hours of that.
See, like for me, my dad was obsessed with Elvis when he was alive. Like we didn't celebrate my birthday, but we celebrated Elvis's birthday and Elvis's death day. Like those were, so I know my Elvis shit. You know what I mean? And born January 8th, died August 16th. Point is that I love, just because of him, I instantly am drawn to Elvis stuff, right? So I'm here for it. But I think Chad brings up a good point. It's weirdly surprising that Rob doesn't. But Chad brings up a good point that Baz Luhrmann he might have grown up with Elvis, but I feel the concept of what Elvis means to people is different depending on where you're coming from. And I feel in the South, he's a venerated saint. What is the view of him from an international perspective? And more often than not, Baz Luhrmann tells you fairy tale-esque stories. Even Australia, which I think is probably his most grounded movie, maybe Strictly Ballroom, there's a lot of over-the-top aspects to it, right? How is that? And I get the idea of Elvis's life being fantabulous, fantastic. But even in that scene where he's going into the church revival tent thing, it felt super theatrical, which I get could be part of what inspired Tom Hanks to become a Jim Henson character or whatever the fuck he's doing. But like, I'm interested to see how that plays to people who Elvis is not a fairy tale character, but he's a real life goddamn man from Tupelo that did the Lord's work. Like, you know, how is that going to play? I'm going to see it instantly because Austin Butler looks fucking great as the king. So I don't know. I'm excited about it. I thank him very much for making this film. But before we leave the building, let's talk about the big trailer. Jesus Christ. One of my other favorite directors, Mr. Sam Raimi, has brought us Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Dr. Stephen Strange casts a forbidden spell that opens the door to the multiverse, including an alternate version of himself, whose threat to humanity is too great for the combined forces of Strange, Wong, and Wanda Maximoff, starring Elizabeth Olsen. So we're going to make sure we go through all of the IMDb. There's not a lot listed, but we're going to see what it says. Elizabeth Olsen, Benedict Cumberbatch, Shakta Kill Gomez. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. I'm going to assume I'm not.
That's an expensive word in Scrabble. That's all I'm telling you. Definitely. Her name is, what the hell? Xochitl. That's misspelled.
Rachel McAdams, Michael Stuhlbarg, Patrick Stewart, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Benedict Wong, Tony McCarthy, Sue Cole. I'm going to click on all casting crew to see if any other cast comes up, just so we can try to find out more. No, that's pretty much it. But that's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Chad, what did you think about this trailer?
You know, if it wasn't already clear from Far From Home, obviously, Marvel is saying anything is possible. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is. We're bringing in the X-Men, Professor X. The Illuminati is here. Who knows who the Illuminati will be? You know, but if it's Tom Cruise as Superior Iron Man, yeah, that's what it'll be. If it's John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, yeah, that's what it'll be. It doesn't matter. They can do whatever they want, and they're going to do whatever they want. This trailer looks awesome. I did not know that Patrick Stewart was going to be in the movie because I'm trying to avoid, you know, certain things. So I lost my mind when it showed that. I thought that was awesome. And it's clearly the Illuminati. Yeah. Clearly, that's who it is. So, like, I don't want to see anything else. I know I'll say this about some trailers. Again, I don't want to see anything else. Like, I was telling Rob about this earlier. You know, the three of us, you know, we might be different than some people, but we would still go see Doctor Strange without a trailer. Even if we didn't know anything about it, we would go see if it was Sam Raimi directing Doctor Strange 2, we're going to go there opening night to watch it. So we don't need all this other stuff where maybe some other people will need that. I don't want any more pushes. Don't show us anything else. Don't tell us anything else about this because it looks incredible. I would love to see in this movie, and I can't remember, I don't think I've said it on this podcast, but I've said it before, like on the phone maybe to Rob, is I would love for Chris Evans to show up. Yeah. And everyone is thinking he's Captain America and they're pumped. And he says, flame on. Yeah. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, and who would have thought that was a possibility 3 years ago? But it's like it could very well happen.
50-50. It's literally not. Yeah, all bets are off.
Anything can happen. You know, like I wouldn't be surprised because they do this in Marvel sometimes and DC Comics, where sometimes you see a silhouette like a Marvel comic, and you see a silhouette of like Batman and Superman. Or in a Superman comic, you might see like Spider-Man's web when they're in like a multiverse thing. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like this at this point. Legitimately,
like a batarang.
Show Batman's cowl. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. Whatever. Anything is possible in the Multiverse of Madness. Bring it on. Let's go.
Yeah. Rob, what about you? I know the Multiverse of Madness is a way to describe you. I can't. I was gonna make some insult joke. I don't know. You're fucking old. Go ahead. What do you think?
You know, similar to a comment I made earlier. They have so many toys. Like they can make movies for the next 100 years in this universe, and they're not going to use all their toys, which means they have latitude to pull in amazing actors for one-offs and just kill them, and just for this. Not again, one of the things I hate about hopping online and listening to the numbnuts of YouTube are the use of the word fan service, as if it's some kind of it's like it's a curse, like it's a bad word, like it's bad to please your fucking audience. Are you kidding me? Yes, tell a good story, but the fans come back because they're fed what they want to see to some extent in conjunction with the stories. They have such a deep chest of toys that they literally go, okay, who's too busy for us to get in the next 10 years, but who can show up for 3 days, for 4 days, as we sit here and try to obviously reintroduce the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, but who, based upon rumors and previous potential castings that almost happened and fan castings, what can we do to just blow literally part of the, again, we talk about what their director's job is to know what the audience is supposed to feel at any given point. Marvel's put themselves in a position where the director's allowed to go, I want to blow somebody's fucking mind right here. Who can we get? And can you get Tom Cruise to be Superior Iron Man? Can you get Krasinski to come in to be, Mr. Fantastic for a day, or just another universe's Captain America? Or, what can you do? And you can do whoever, literally they can go who's available. I can see this board of just the greatest actors on the planet and their schedules. And they go, all right, who's available? And it's like they're 20 people deep of recognizable A-listers. They can go, okay, let's see, we'll do this. And how do we just fuel the ferocity? And if they're going to show us Patrick Stewart, I mean, obviously the lunatic fringe now goes, well, if they're going to show us Patrick Stewart, it must be, the funny thing would be if it was only Patrick Stewart and everybody else was just local actors just from Atlanta or wherever, and just, the rest of the Illuminati.
Rob, are you in this movie? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
It's Prago, Alex Collins, Mark Ashworth, and Derek Russo are just
a lot like Jake Gyllenhaal said, I think it's important that the fans, the real fans don't want to know if somebody's in or not in it. So I'm just not going to say whether I am or not. I'm not. Not even close. But it's just the anticipation is ridiculous. And coming on the heels of Spider-Man, people are like, just what is the next? Give me the next hit of my favorite drug. Literally, I'm starting to Jones a little bit. Give me my drug.
Yeah.
And it's coming in May. And okay, it's when I don't want to. And I'm not strong enough to knock up on YouTube and go, what's the next rumor? What's the next rumor? But at this point, it is what it is. It's going to be, I'm just going to sit there and just fucking be Jones the whole time. It's going to be great.
It's amazing how exciting that trailer looks. It's amazing the powerhouse that Marvel and Disney are, that they can get anyone. But also you have somebody like Sam Raimi, who's so well respected for his career. Any fucking actor would want to work with him. You know what I mean? So that would enable you to get somebody like Tom Cruise if he is in it, right? Just being able to drop that voice of Patrick Stewart in there with a little bit of a bald head, fucking sign me up. And that's just the tip of the iceberg for the complexity of how trippy this movie looks. I thought Scott Derrickson did an amazing job with the first one, and it's great that you had somebody who had a horror background that can sort of tap your toes gently. But this looks like a nightmare come to life, and the practical zombie look that Strange has and the weird body position that he's in looks phenomenal. My hope, when you get to the Illuminati, give me Xavier, give me Tom Cruise, give me a Kang the Conqueror, give me Mordo, give me Jean Grey. The deep cut that I want that will make me think Kevin Feige watches me while I sleep is you give me Peter Hooton, who played Doctor Strange in the 1970s TV movie, as a Doctor Strange variant who's sitting on that council, right? To the vast majority of the audience, he's going to be like a what the fuck? But to those diehard fans, you have now made your first MCU movie take place in 1976. And you've brought in all of these generations. And the motherfucker's still alive. And it could be like it would be so exciting. But I don't think that's going to happen. But it could. At this point, anything is possible.
When you said that, I sat here and I wish that Bill Bixby was still alive.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I literally that just hit me. I was like, God damn.
And just the significance of something like that. It feels like a Doctor Who, like this trailer is so theatrical and big, but it kind of feels like a Doctor Who story in the sense that you can journey through so much stuff, but have the sentimentality. If I had my druthers, if I could do anything in the world, Jessica Walter she has passed away last year, but she was in the original Doctor Strange movie from the 70s. If you could have her there and her looking at Stephen Strange, but has this connection because that was her lover in a different universe. You know what I mean? Like, though you can pull off with those multiverse stories, you can have characters that relate and have all this backstory that we've never seen. But by getting these amazing actors, they can let that transpire in a single moment, you know? Even fucking Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man No Way Home, which I love Tobey. I wouldn't put him up in the same caliber as Patrick Stewart, but even when he's saying something about that's my MJ, like you can feel the whole connection to it. And what that Garfield, when he catches her, you tell that's a big moment, even if you've never seen that. But the ability to tell this ongoing serialized story, now it feels like the comic books because it not only plays, and I think the difference between fan service and doing it the Marvel way is a lot of time we'll get fan service in something like Rise of Skywalker, which is just bullshit. Oh, you know this, he gets a medal because remember he didn't get a medal last time, and it serves no fucking purpose for the story. It's just dumb. But in the MCU, not only is it serving the purpose of the story, not only can you watch it and appreciate it without having the background knowledge, but if you do know what the reference is, it just makes it all the richer. Yeah. And it just not required, but reinforces a good viewing experience. And that's what I think Raimi and the MCU are going to give us. I can't wait for this fucking movie.
Well, it's like you said, it's just like the comics. If you've been reading comics for 30 years, sometimes they'll reference something that happened 30 years ago. Yeah. And you can enjoy it just fine if you just started reading this arc.
Yeah.
But all that backstory is there. It's all continuity. So, yeah. I think now, though, I say now, though, it's the way it's been for a long time. But when studios and everybody's looking at opening weekend numbers, box office opening weekend numbers, when they have trailers like this and they have surprises that they don't put in the trailer, you can't afford to not go opening weekend.
Yeah,
because it's going to be spoiled. If you didn't know somehow that all 3 Spider-Men were going to be in Far From Home because it's not in the trailer, and you find out later, then you're disappointed that you found out on social media as opposed to going and see it opening weekend. Yeah. So they're almost daring you not to go opening weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
And I feel that even with this, there's so much, I don't know what's, it's almost like I feel like this movie's going to have a twist, like a big twist that we don't see coming. And that's what enables them to say, oh, here's Professor X. But that's just, again, the tip of the iceberg. And it doesn't mean necessarily that there's going to have to be a big cameo, but I think there's going to be something that happens in this movie that is so drastically different than what we're anticipating. Maybe this is the reverse House of M. Maybe this movie ends with the X-Men being introduced. I don't know. I'm excited. Maybe Wanda is the bad guy of the movie, or maybe Doctor Strange is the bad guy of the movie. Because there's like 19 of those motherfuckers to pick from. So I'm stoked. I can't remember being as excited for an MCU project as I am this. I'm excited for every one of them. So
I think the whole purpose of this movie is to retcon the Ralph Boner moment of Wanda. But I think they're going to fix that.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. For our
they better fix it.
Yeah, fix it. As far as House of M goes, she can say the same thing at the end to bring them back. She can say no more mutants, but she can spell it KNOW.
Or she can say no, comma more mutants.
Sorry,
that's the right way to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
no, not necessarily. Well, that's both ways. No more mutants, yes, comma, or let's no more mutants, folks.
I feel if she says, let's no more mutants.
I want to know more mutants. More drugs.
That's why Keith and I are the writers of the group right there.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're like, just put a comma there.
Yeah.
I'm getting an associate
You don't need
producer.
all those
Perfect.
extra letters like that's.
But more mutants.
Speaking of the tragedy that Rob just turned this podcast into, before we close up, we do have to sadly report the passing of another of two people actually. One is an actor from The Walking Dead, a man named Moseley, who's a local here in Atlanta, passed away recently. He was an awesome guy. He was also in MacGyver, a lot of things. He was a smiling face and a super cool dude. And then secondly, the whole geek community suffered a loss with the loss of Ivan Reitman, the director of Ghostbusters, among tons of things. But he's a helmer of some of the greatest comedies ever made. So rest in peace to both of those. Our thoughts to the families and all that stuff. Anything else you guys have to say?
Hey, enough death for a while. That's all I'm saying. Enough death. Keep it on screen, man. Keep it on screen. But good show, everybody. That was great tonight. You guys can pick it up a little bit next time. We appreciate it.
Cool,
But
great.
you know how it is. You know how it is.
So, Chad, as we're picking stuff up, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Chad129X. You can find the podcast on Twitter, NQC Podcast. And probably, unless Rob always has something to do, washing his hair or something, the next time we meet, we'll probably be talking about Batman. Don't you think, Keith?
Yeah, I'm thinking so.
What?
God
Is
damn,
that 2
I'm
weeks?
so excited.
Is that in 2 weeks?
It's like, yeah, next week.
Holy shit. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
What else came out? Uncharted. I might go see Uncharted tomorrow, and then Batman. Oh God, I'm so fucking. I tried the Batman calzone thing from Little Caesars. It's really good, actually. Like, I don't even like Little Caesars, but I'm gonna give them some publicity because that shit's a pizza and a calzone in one, and it's better quality pizza than their normal pizza. I have to say.
Damn.
Well, it better be, because their normal quality tastes like cardboard.
Yeah.
That's number one. And number two, I did see somebody post a picture of their Batman calzone that they got, and it didn't look a lot like I gotta say, it didn't look a whole lot like the commercial.
Yeah,
I couldn't really see the bat symbol.
Mine was like destroyed. It was like already falling apart, and it looked like my bat pizza calzone had ejaculated onto the box. But it was delicious ejaculate from a pizza. I have to say that. Anyway, speaking of ejaculate, Rob, where can people find you?
Well, I'm always busy on Twitter at Rob Pralgo on Twitter. Is Twitter still a thing? Twitter's still a thing, right? I'm still on Facebook. I know it's going out of business soon, but it's I'm there, and I'm around. Pralgo's acting class if you want to ruin your career, or you can go study with Keith too. That's fine. Probably better off there. But all good. I'm here.
Yep. He's so happy to be here too.
Rob, I'm happy to be here.
Rob the Rambling Man.
I'm wearing my favorite hoodie. Come on, I'm hanging out. We're talking.
Good. I'm gonna go to Keith's house to get ejaculate pizza. I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Keith's within ear distance when I'm hungry. It's perfect. All my favorite restaurants. My brother Joey's, my brother Danny's, Keith's house. If Chad lived closer, I'd eat more of his food. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he got excited, because you started talking about food. Like, he's been down and he's been so depressed this entire podcast. And at the very end, when you're like, "Yeah, I got that pizza," he's like, "Oh my gosh, guys,
I'm not
this is
unlike
the
my
best
dogs.
podcast ever."
I'm not unlike my dogs. If they're sleeping, they hear like the sound of cheese unwrapping or plastic or like a bag of chips opening.
I love that look. We've been talking about movies this entire time, and Rob, who works in the film industry, has looked like a Robert Smith fan, just in the back, like, "Oh, whatever." And then the mention of pizza just springs up, like the pride.
Yes, he's like right up on the screen now. He never was before.
Like the spry 80-year-old Leatherface.
He's like, "You got any pizza over there right now, Keith? I'm looking. I can't see."
You leave any more chicken wings in the garbage can I can pull out?
I'm gonna order some if you want to drive over here. But
I'll be right over.
Cool. Well, thanks. And if you want to find me, please don't. But thanks for listening. We'll be back soon, guys. Also, if you're listening to this on YouTube, there's chapter breaks. I should have said at the beginning. I'll say that next time. All right.
This is on YouTube now. I should have done my hair. I look like, no, don't put this one on YouTube.
It's not on YouTube that way, Rob. Clearly, you haven't looked at it.
I have not looked at it one time.
It's a podcast.
It's not this.
Oh, we don't see anything? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, you see things, but Keith does a good job. He adds like movie posters, and sometimes he'll put up clips making fun of you. Like, it's really good.
Keith, are you a good enough editor to edit this podcast?
I hate you, and I feel appreciated by Chad, and I don't know why we put up with Rob. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Not Quite Cool is a podcast recorded in Atlanta, Georgia, in conjunction with Actors Teaching Actors and Bean Dip Productions. Thanks.